Imagine moving to a new school, carrying nothing but hope that you'll finally fit in, only to be cornered by bullies the very first week. Now picture this: they laugh, yank at your hair and call you names. But instead of breaking down, you rise, and in a single twist you leave them stunned, humiliated, and changed forever. This isn't just a story about bullies and a victim. This is about a girl who carried pain, strength, and a past no one could see. And when the moment came, she proved that sometimes the quietest person in the room holds the loudest power. Stay with me until the end. Because what happened after she snapped that boy's arm didn't just change her life. It changed the entire school forever. The first day of high school always felt like a battlefield. Hallways echoed with laughter, footsteps, and whispers. Groups already formed their circles, friendships already carved in stone. For a new student, stepping into that maze felt like walking into enemy territory. For Emma Carter, it was worse. She wasn't just the new girl. She was the girl with a past she wished no one knew. Her family had moved after a messy divorce. She carried the weight of watching her father walk away, and her mother worked double shifts just to keep food on the table. She promised herself she'd stay invisible this year. No drama, no attention, just survival. She walked with her head down, clutching her worn-out backpack, her chestnut hair falling forward like a curtain to shield her face. But the very thing she wanted to hide became the reason she was noticed. It started small. Snickers when she walked into the cafeteria. A tray accidentally bumped, spilling her milk. Then whispers, "Farm girl. Poor girl. Look at her clothes." Emma swallowed it all. She didn't cry, didn't fight back. She thought, if I ignore it, they'll stop. But bullies never stop when they see silence. They see it as permission. The leader of the pack was Jake Miller, tall, broad-shouldered, with a cruel smirk that teachers never seemed to notice. He wasn't just a bully, he was the kind who thrived on an audience. His friends followed his lead like shadows. On Friday, when the hallways buzzed before the weekend, Emma was at her locker, carefully tucking in a notebook where she had been sketching quietly. That's when Jake spotted her. Well, he sneered loudly, so everyone turned. "If it isn't Little Miss Nobody?" Emma froze, her hand trembling on the locker door. She didn't answer. "Hey," Jake said, stepping closer. "I'm talking to you." His friends circled around. Emma tried to slip away, but before she could, Jake's hand shot out and yanked her hair. Hard, the hall erupted in laughter. Emma winced as her scalp burned. She clenched her fists but still said nothing. "What's wrong? Cat got your tongue?" Jake mocked, twisting her hair harder. "Or do you just like people pulling on your ponytail?" Something inside Emma cracked. For months, she had bottled up anger. At her father for leaving, at the world for being unfair, at herself for being weak. And now, with every strand of hair pulled, it all erupted like fire. She turned slowly, her eyes blazing in a way no one had seen before. And before Jake or anyone could react, she reached up, grabbed his arm, twisted it in one swift motion, and snap! The sound echoed like a thunderclap. Jake screamed, dropping to his knees. His friends stumbled back, horrified. The hallway went dead silent. Dozens of students stared in shock. Emma stood tall, her chest rising and falling, her face calm but fierce. For the first time, she wasn't invisible. She wasn't the victim anymore. And that was just the beginning. The nurse's office was chaos. Jake's arm had to be rushed to the hospital, his cries echoing down the hall. Teachers scrambled, students whispered, and by lunchtime, the story had spread through the entire school. She broke his arm. Did you see how fast she moved? She's a psycho? No, she's a hero? Emma sat in the principal's office, her hands folded tightly in her lap. She expected suspension, maybe even expulsion, but inside, she didn't feel regret. For the first time in years, she felt free. Principal Harris entered, adjusting his glasses. "Emma, do you want to explain what happened?" Her voice was steady. "He pulled my hair. He wouldn't stop. That doesn't justify breaking his arm," the principal said sternly. Emma looked straight into his eyes. "And what would justify it? Waiting until he did worse. Waiting until I broke instead of him." The principal opened his mouth but said nothing. Because deep down, he knew Jake's bullying had gone unchecked for years. Teachers had looked away. Students had suffered in silence. But Emma wasn't silent anymore. News traveled fast. Some parents complained, demanding Emma be expelled. But others, especially those whose kids had been victims, defended her. For the first time, the school had to face its failure to stop bullying. The following week, Emma returned. Some avoided her, whispering behind her back, but others walked up to her. Kids who had been shoved, mocked, excluded. "You were brave," one girl whispered. "Thank you," said another boy. "He did the same to me last year." Emma realized she had sparked something bigger than herself. She hadn't just defended her dignity. She had shown every kid in that school that they didn't have to be afraid. Jake never bullied anyone again. The cast on his arm was a daily reminder that cruelty had consequences. His smirk was gone, replaced with silence. By the end of the semester, Emma wasn't just the new girl. She was the girl who stood up, the girl who refused to break, the girl who gave others permission to find their own strength. And as graduation approached, she stood on the stage as class representative. Her words echoed through the gymnasiums. Sometimes, strength doesn't come from being the loudest or the most popular. Sometimes, it comes from the ones who've been hurt the most, because they know what it means to rise again. Don't ever let anyone decide your worth. You're stronger than you think. The audience erupted in applause. Parents wiped tears. Students stood, clapping not just for Emma, but for themselves, because her courage had lit a fire in them all. And that's how the girl who once wanted to disappear became unforgettable. And that, my friends, is Emma's story. The girl who turned pain into power, silence into courage, and fear into strength. Remember, bullies feed on silence, but when you rise, you don't just change your own story. You change the story for everyone watching. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Story Sphere for more powerful and emotional stories that remind us of the strength we all carry inside.